Content warning. This report contains discussions of racial discrimination, sexual assault, torture, lynching, and other forms of extreme violence. The report contains unedited historical quotations and photographs of white supremacist hatred, torture, lynching, autopsy, and other forms of graphic violence. Racism in environment and infrastructure. Due to residential segregation, African Americans have lived in poor quality housing throughout American history, exposing them to disproportionate amounts of lead poisoning and increasing risk of infectious disease. 137 Segregated black neighborhoods have more exposure to hazardous waste, oil and gas production, automobile and diesel fumes, and are more likely to have inadequate public services like sewage lines and drinking water pipes. 38 African Americans are more vulnerable than white Americans to the dangerous effects of extreme weather patterns such as heat waves, made by the effects of human consumption and industrial degradation of the environment. 139. National patterns are replicated in California. Californians are more likely than white Californians to live in overcrowded housing and near hazardous waste. 140 black neighborhoods are more likely to lack tree canopy 1-for-1 and suffer from the consequences of water 1-for-2 and air pollution. 143 For instance, black Californians in the San Joaquin Valley were excluded. Non-white school districts get predominantly white districts $3 billion less. Executive summary. Urban areas with access to clean water as a result of redlining policies, racial covenants, and racially motivated violence. 44. Tulare County, the largely black community of Taviston had no access to sewer and water infrastructure, while the adjacent white community of Pikesley did. 1-for-5 This discrimination continued until recently. The town of Lanerier, formed by black families fleeing the Dust Bowl, had no running water at all until the 1970s, and was subjected to dangerous levels of arsenic in the water even after wells and pipes were drilled. 46 The town's residents did not get access to clean drinking until 2019. 47 Pathologizing the black family. Government policies and practices at all levels have destroyed black families throughout American history. Civil War, Southern state governments re-enslaved children by making them apprentices and labor for white Americans, who were sometimes their former enslavers. 148 In the past century, state and federal government financial assistance and child welfare systems have based decisions on racist beliefs created to maintain slavery and which continue to operate today as badges of slavery. 49 Government-issued financial assistance has excluded African Americans from receiving benefits. Early 1900s, state governments made support payments every month to low-income single mothers to assist them with the expenses incurred while raising children. 150 black families were generally excluded, despite their greater need. 51 Scholars have found that racial discrimination exists at every stage of the child welfare process. In 52, the data show that when equally poor black and white families are compared, even where both families are considered to be at equal risk for future abuse, state agencies are more likely to remove black children from their families than white. 153 as of 2019, black children make up only 14% of American children, and yet 23% of children in foster care. 154 studies have shown that this is likely not because black parents mistreat their children more often, but rather due to racist systems and poverty. 155. In 2015 to 16 school year, black students were arrested at 3 times the rate of white students, while only comprising 15% of the population in schools. 56. This disparity widens for black girls, who make up 17% of the school population, but are arrested at 3.3 times the rate of white girls. 157. Meanwhile, the criminal and juvenile justice systems have intensified these harms to black families by imprisoning large numbers of black children, thereby separating black families. 158. Near California trends in the child welfare, juvenile justice, and disciplinary action in schools match those in the rest of the country. California Attorney General investigations have found several school districts punish black students at higher rates than students of other races. 159 investigations at the Basto Unified School District, the Oroville City Elementary School District, and the Oroville Union High School District showed that black students were more likely to be punished and / or suspended, and were subjected to greater punishments than similarly situated peers of other races. 160. 2015 study ranked California among the 5 worst states in foster care racial disparities. 161 black children in California make up approximately 22% of the 1950s, a developer in Milpitas, CA tried to build a housing development for both white and black homebuyers. A city council increased the sewer connection fee more tenfold to thwart the development. 23%. Americans in the United States black children in foster care. 2019. Summary. Population, while only 6% of the general child population. 162 far higher than the national percentages. In 63 some counties in California, both urban and rural, have much higher disparities compared to statewide average. Francisco County, which is largely urban and has nearly 900,000 residents, the percentage of black children in foster care in 2018 was more than 25 times the rate of white children. 164. Control over creative, cultural, and intellectual life. Nationally, during slavery, state governments controlled and dictate the forms and content of African American artistic and cultural production. 165 advocates argue that this is still true today. 166 After the Civil War, governments and politicians embraced minstrelsy, which was the popular racist and stereotypical depiction of African Americans through song, dance, and film. 167 federal and state governments failed to protect black artists and creators from discrimination and simultaneously promoted discriminatory narratives. 68. Federal and state governments allowed white Americans to steal black art and culture with impunity, depriving black creators of valuable copyright and patent protections. 169 state governments denied black entrepreneurs. Makers access to the leisure sites, business licenses, and funding for lifestyle activities that were offered to white people. 170 state governments built monuments to memorialize the Confederacy as just and heroic through monument building, while simultaneously suppressing the nation's history of racism, slavery, and genocide. Genocide. 71 states censored cinematic depictions of discrimination while also censoring depictions of black people integrating into white society. 172. In California, city governments decimated thriving black neighborhoods with vibrant artistic communities, like the Fillmore in San Francisco. 73 local governments in California have discriminated against, punished, and penalized black students for their fashion, hairstyle, and appearance. 174 state-funded California museums have excluded black art from their institutions. 175 California has criminalized black rap artists, as California courts have allowed rap lyrics to be used as evidence related to street gang activity. 176 California has been home to numerous racist monuments and memorials for centuries. 177